Hello everyone, it's Fred here. Today I'm going to show you a really simple exercise you can use to improve your hip mobility if you're getting nowhere with static stretching. But before that, who am I? What do I do? So I work with people online to help rehab injuries. So I work with CrossFitters, I work with weightlifters, I work with Hyrox athletes, predominantly those three sports, but also runners and other athletes, but predominantly, CrossFit, weightlifting, Hyrox, and a few powerlifters as well. What I do is essentially online rehab / physio. So, bit of background on me. I did my physio degree, qualified from university, did a year in the NHS, which is, if you're not from the UK, that's just the national healthcare system. So, did a year in the hospital, and then I went on my own, and I did a bit of in-person stuff first, and now I've predominantly moved online. So I work with people online via a program that I give to people, and then I keep in communication via WhatsApp, etc, etc. So I'm not here to sell the program now. That's basically what I do. So let's get into the video. So we have Sarah here, who's one of my hip clients. So I've been working with her for coming up to three-ish months. She came to me initially with some hip pain and wanted to get back to running. So this is a staple exercise I use with a lot of hip clients, and we'll jump into it and I'll run you through what the objectives are and how we can actually perform this exercise effectively. Okay, so starting off, I will just fast forward to where Sarah is in a standing position here. Perfect. So as we can see here, the setup position, Sarah has got, let's swap this to the other leg, because then you can see this a bit more clearly. Perfect, this is better. So setup position, we've got the left leg forward to start with Sarah. So left leg standing on that, then you're going to get your left hand, you're going to put that on your left glute. So this is going to provide some feedback when we're actually doing the exercise, so we can feel the glute stretching, so that you know you're doing it correctly. And then the other hand is just going to go into the hip crease, as you can see here on the same side. Okay, so hand positioning is really important. That's number one. Number two is weight distribution or placement. So you'll notice with Sarah, she's standing on her left leg. She's got a slight knee bend and her weight is forwards. You'll notice her back leg is just there as a pivot. So you'll notice on the back leg here, she's just got her toes just in contact with the floor, but nothing more than that. So if she took that back foot off, she could balance on one leg. So all the weight is forward, slight knee bend, and she has the hands in the right position. So one hand on the glute, and then one hand deep into the hip crease, just above your hip flexors where that bony point is. Okay, so then what we do from here, she's going to get her position, and then two cues here. We want to get our hips back while keeping our weight forward. So Sarah does a really good job of this, and you'll see why. Okay, so I'll just pause in this bottom position. So you can see here we've got our hips back, so bum back, but her weight has stayed forward. So this is very different to a deadlift or an RDL. Let's think of an RDL where when you're in that bottom position, your weight is in the middle of your foot or it's in your heels, and then as you drive up, everything is going back. Predominantly with an RDL, you'll feel it in the hamstrings. What we want with this exercise is only to feel it in the glutes. Excuse me. If you only feel it in the hamstrings, you know you're doing it wrong. So in this position, Sarah's got that hand on a glute. She's seeing the glute stretching while she's in this position. She has all her weight forward, so she's almost falling over forward. Weight forward, hips back, and you'll notice this knee angle hasn't changed. So as you're doing the exercise, as you're standing back up, so you'll see with Sarah, she holds it for a few seconds and then stands back up. Perfect. So you can see on her, the knee angle hasn't changed. If as you stand up, your knee straightens, you're doing it wrong, because again, as your knee is straightening, it's just like an RDL, you will feel it in your hamstrings. Does that make sense? So Sarah has maintained this knee position, and you maintain that throughout. Again, so hips back, weight forward, and you can actually see here she's kind of, her heel's kind of wavering a little bit because there's no weight on it. So it actually comes off the floor slightly there again. Knee position stays the same. Pauses for a little 2-3 seconds. Comes back up. Again here, knee bend, very, very similar. Okay? We do not want this to be straight in this top position. We want to maintain that knee bend. So, another way to think about this is we want hip extension before knee extension. What do I mean by hip extension? Well, I mean, we want the glutes in this position before knee extension. And in this case, for this exercise, we only want full knee extension when we're actually finishing and swapping legs. So that's really the key concept, and that's how you'll get the most out of the glutes. So again, hips back, knee bend maintains. We don't lose that. Weights forward, weights forward, weights forward. She's got a hip, hand in that hip on the same side, really pushing, helping to push the hips back as well. And you'll see on this rep, she does not quite as good of a job of keeping that knee bend, so she loses it a little bit here, but still pretty good because the leg isn't straight. Weight forward again. Slight pause. Good. And then you'll see by this last rep here, she's a little bit fatigued, and so she's straightening that this leg is nearly straight, which we don't want. Okay? So again, points to go over. And then you'll swap, go on to the other leg. So, hand placement, one hand on the glute, one hand in hip crease, slight knee bend, weight forward over the front leg, back leg is just there to chill out, support. You don't want any weight through it. Then hips back as weight stays forward, and no change in knee bend. You will know you're doing this exercise right if you're feeling it in your glutes, like a really, really deep contraction in the glutes. It almost feels like you're unlocking something, and you'll have never really kind of felt that sensation in your glutes before. If it's a bit hamstrings, it's a bit groin, it's a bit something else, you know you're doing it wrong, and again, you need to go over those points. Again, the two most common errors are, number one, weight isn't forward, so if weight's back and then hips are back as well, it's just going to be hamstrings. And second most common error is, as we're standing back up, as Sarah demonstrates on these last few reps, the second error is straightening this leg, which we don't want. We want to maintain that knee bend throughout. So if you look at these reps here, earlier on this side, she does a much better job. Look at the knee bend, look at the knee bend. Not really changing. A little bit of change, but not much. Okay? So you're going to get more glute activation with that. Okay? Hopefully that was helpful. Any questions or queries, just drop them in the comments down below, and subscribe for more injury-related content, or potentially suggest some useful topics that you guys want to see. Just a quick one as well. If you are interested in what I do with online rehab, you can check out the link below in the description.